Imagine this for a moment. You're walking down a busy street, maybe, and someone approaches, and their whole presence just sort of shifts the air around them. Their eyes are clear, their skin, their complexion just glows, and you get this immediate sense, almost a feeling of profound inner peace.
Yeah, like a real palpable stillness.
Exactly. An incredible serenity, a clear mind. So the question is, what kind of mental state, what kind of, well, experience could lead to that? To such a visible, almost radiant appearance?
It's a fascinating question.
It really is. And today we're taking a deep dive into exactly that, looking at a really amazing collection of ancient texts. They come from a section called the Sāriputtavaggo.
Right.
And these aren't just, dry scriptures. They give us this unique window into the incredibly sophisticated meditation practices, but also the ethical clarity of Sāriputta,
who was a huge figure in early Buddhism, really one of the most prominent disciples. So, yeah, our mission today is basically to unpack Sāriputta's journey, his progression through these increasingly subtle states of consciousness, the jhanas, and the formless attainments, as they're called.
Okay.
But we're not just listing them. We want to pull out what's really significant, why his experience matters so much, and crucially, how this deep internal mastery connects to his outward behavior, his impeccable conduct.
So link between the inner and the outer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What can we learn from that about wisdom, deep wisdom, and how it actually plays out in everyday life?
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit. The texts often describe Ananda, another key figure seeing Sāriputta. Sometimes it's in Savatthi, sometimes Rajagaha.
Right, these ancient Indian cities.
And Ananda notices this about him consistently. His clear senses and pure complexion. The Pali phrase is quite vivid. Vipassanani kote avuso Sāriputta, indriyani parisuddho mukhavan pariyodato.
It paints a picture, doesn't it?
It really does. Just try and visualize that for a second. Someone whose inner quiet is just shining through. And here's the thing. Ananda's reaction is always the same. He doesn't just say hi.
No.
He asks this really profound question. What state have you been dwelling in today?
Which is not your typical greeting.
Not at all. It's like he sees the effect and immediately wants to know the cause, the inner source.
Exactly. And that's key. Ananda's observation, it wasn't just, a polite comment. It was this clear recognition that Sāriputta's inner state, his meditative depth, was actually manifesting outwardly, visibly.
So a direct link between mind and body almost.
A very direct link, yeah. It suggests that the state of your mind, your inner stillness, profoundly impacts your well-being, your appearance, even your whole presence.
It wasn't just making him feel calm, it was making him look luminous.
That's a good word for it, luminous.
Okay, so let's unpack this. When Ananda asks, what state were you in? Sāriputta gives these incredibly detailed answers. It's like he lays out a roadmap of these meditative states, this systematic journey inwards.
He does. It's quite remarkable. He describes 8 distinct attainments across several different texts or suttas, and they really progress, moving from what are called the jhanas, sometimes translated as form absorptions. They're still somewhat connected to the body, to the really subtle, almost ethereal, formless attainments, pure mind states.
So walk us through them. Where does it start?
It starts with the first jhana. The description is detached from sensual pleasures, detached from unwholesome states, with thinking and pondering, born of detachment with joy and pleasure.
Okay, so detachment is key, getting away from distractions.
Right. You're letting go of sense input, negative thoughts, but notice the mind is still active. They're still thinking and pondering.
Okay, so it's not blankness.
Not at all. But there is this definite joy and pleasure that comes from that initial detachment, that relief.
Like finding a quiet space after a lot of noise. Your mind's still going, but it feels good.
That's a great analogy. Then comes the second jhana.
And what changes there?
The text says, from the subsiding of thinking and pondering, with internal serenity and unification of mind, without thinking and pondering, born of concentration, with joy and pleasure.
Without thinking and pondering. That's the big shift.
That's the key shift, that initial mental chatter, it subsides, the mind becomes unified, serene. Thinking isn't needed anymore in the same way.
Wow.
And the joy and pleasure, they're still there, maybe even deeper, but now they arise from pure concentration, not just detachment.
So moving beyond the internal monologue, it sounds incredibly peaceful already. What about the third jhana?
Here, the description is interesting. With the fading of joy, he dwells equanimous, mindful, and clearly comprehending, and experiences pleasure with the body.
The joy fades. That sounds like a step back.
Not quite fading away, maybe more like settling. That effervescent joy becomes less prominent. What arises is deep equanimity balance.
Okay.
He's mindful, clearly comprehending, and there's still pleasure, but it's described as pleasure with the body. It's a stable, embodied pleasure, not an excited joy.
So a calmer, more grounded well-being.
Exactly. The text even quotes noble ones saying, equanimous, mindful, he dwells in pleasure. It's a highly regarded state.
Less about seeking highs, more about abiding balance. And the last of these form states, the fourth jhana.
The fourth jhana is described like this. From the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and from the disappearance of former joy and sorrow, he dwells in equanimity and pure mindfulness without pleasure and pain.
Whoa. Abandoning pleasure and pain.
That's right. It's the transcendence of the entire spectrum of feeling. Both the highs and the lows, the joys and sorrows experienced before, they disappear.
So it's left.
Pure, unshakable equanimity, pure mindfulness, a profound stillness beyond feeling, beyond pleasure, beyond pain.
That's an incredible progression just within the jhanas. But you said there's more. The formless attainments.
Yes. These go even further beyond any subtle sense of form or embodiment. They move into realms of pure mind, pure consciousness, pure space. First is the sphere of infinite space. He enters this, the text says, by completely transcending perceptions of form, by the disappearance of perceptions of resistance, by not attending to perceptions of diversity, thinking space is infinite, he dwells in the sphere of infinite space.
So it's like your awareness just expands limitlessly, no edges.
Kind of like that, yeah. Unbound by physical limits or even distinct objects. Just vast, open space as the object of awareness.
And after infinite space.
The sphere of infinite consciousness. Here, he transcends even that infinite space. Thinking consciousness is infinite, he dwells in the sphere of infinite consciousness.
So the focus shifts from the space.
To the awareness itself. To the consciousness that perceives the space, recognizing that as infinite, boundless.
Okay, this is getting pretty abstract.
It is. Next is the sphere of nothingness.
Nothingness.
By completely transcending the sphere of infinite consciousness, thinking there is nothing, he dwells in the sphere of nothingness.
What does that mean, there is nothing?
It's understood as perceiving the utter absence of any object, anything. Not a void exactly, but a recognition of the emptiness, the lack of inherent substance and phenomena. It's a very deep state of letting go.
Okay. And the final one, the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. That name itself is a bit of a tongue twister.
It is incredibly subtle. He gets there by completely transcending the sphere of nothingness.
How do you even describe that?
It's extremely difficult. Imagine trying to perceive something that's right on the threshold of existing and not existing. Perception is so subtle, it almost isn't perception, but it's not non-perception either.
So it's like the very edge of awareness itself.
Something like that. The distinction between perceiving and not perceiving becomes incredibly fine, almost blurred. It's awareness operating at its most subtle level, almost beyond concepts.
Wow, okay. That's quite a sequence of states. But here's the part that really jumps out. And you mentioned it relates to why his experience is so significant. After describing every single one of these states, from the first jhana right up to that ultra subtle, neither perception nor non-perception.
Yes.
Sāriputta says the same thing every time. He doesn't say, I did this or I achieved that. He says, it does not occur to me I am entering this state or I have entered this state or I have emerged from this state.
Exactly.
Consistently, no I involved the description of the action.
Yeah.
What is going on there? What's the profound meaning of that?
This right here is the absolute core insight, I think. It points to the depth of his mastery. He's experiencing these incredibly profound states, but not as an individual self who is doing it.
Okay.
The texts attribute this directly to his long-standing eradication of I-making, mind-making, and conceit. The Pali is digarta avikarma mikaramanasya Sūcimukhī. Basically, the deep-rooted habit of thinking in terms of I, me, mine has been completely rooted out.
I-making. That phrase itself is powerful. But, you know, for most of us, that sense of I feels pretty essential. It's how we operate, how we motivate ourselves. Are these texts saying he's just empty, like a shell?
That's a common misunderstanding, I think. It's not about becoming a robot or losing personhood. Think of I-making more like that constant background commentary.
The inner narrator.
Yeah, exactly. The I like this, I want that, this is happening to me. That habit of constantly filtering everything through a solid, separate self.
Okay.
Sāriputta's state isn't about being devoid of experience. It's about the experience simply happening, simply unfolding, without an ego clinging to it, claiming ownership or taking pride in it. in it.
So the state arises, is experienced, and passes without the I grabbing onto it.
Precisely. It's freedom from the ego's grip in that moment, not annihilation of being. The experience is without a me needing to be the star of the show.
That makes more sense. It's about the clinging to the I, not the I itself, maybe.
That's a good way to put it. It's the attachment to that sense of self.
So to kind of complete this inner journey, there's one more state mentioned, right? The most profound one. The cessation of perception and feeling.
Yes, Nirodha Samapatti. This is reached, according to the texts, by completely transcending the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception.
Going even beyond that subtle state.
Exactly. It signifies a temporary stopping, a cessation of consciousness itself and all mental activity. It's often described as a state of peace that's utterly beyond concepts, beyond description.
And even there.
Even there, Sāriputta maintains that same detachment. It does not occur to me I am entering. No ein claims ownership even of this ultimate peace.
Incredible. So we've gone deep inside Sāriputta's mind, seeing these states most of us can barely conceive of. But what makes it so compelling, as you said earlier, is how this inner world connects to the outer world. How did this play out in his actual life?
Right, because it wasn't just about meditating in a cave.
Let's look at the Sūcimukhī Sutta. It's a different kind of story. The scene is Rajagaha, and Sāriputta is just eating, doing his daily alms round, having his meal. A very ordinary activity.
Mundane, even.
Totally.
Okay.
And then he has this encounter with Sūcimukhī, described as a wandering ascetic woman.
Okay.
And she asks him these really odd questions about how he's eating. Like, are you eating downward-facing, upward-facing, direction-facing, intermediate direction-facing?
It sounds like riddles, or just weird questions about posture.
Right. What could that possibly mean? Is he slouching, looking at the sky?
No, Sāriputta's explanation is brilliant. He interprets these metaphorically. He says these terms actually refer to different kinds of wrong livelihood, miccha jivina.
Ways of getting food or support that weren't considered ethical for a spiritual practitioner.
Exactly. So downward facing, he says, is like living by earth divination, reading signs on the ground, or predicting things from animal behavior, things tied to the earth.
Okay.
Upward facing is living by astrology, stargazing, looking upwards for answers or income.
Got it.
Direction facing is like being a messenger, running errands, going in specific directions for worldly gain.
Which was seen as maybe beneath an ascetic focused on liberation.
Right. And intermediate direction facing was things like reading palms or body marks, limb divination, using parts of the body, the intermediate directions.
So she wasn't asking about how he physically ate, but about the ethical basis of how he obtained his food.
Precisely. It was a test, maybe, or a challenge based on practices common among other groups at the time.
And Sāriputta's response?
It's very clear, very direct. He says he doesn't do any of those things. He states simply, I seek alms food righteously by Dhamma, and having sought it righteously by Dhamma, I eat it. The Pali is tamena bika pari sami, tamena bika pari sita bunjamati.
By Dhamma, according to the principles, the truth, the right way.
Exactly. And what's so striking here is the seamless connection. Here's someone capable of the most profound, subtle states of mind.
Yeah, like seer of nothingness.
Right. And yet he applies the highest ethical standard to the most basic act of eating his lunch.
It shows that the inner depth isn't an escape from the world.
Not at all. It's the foundation for living rightly in the world. The two are integrated. And the story ends with Sūcimukhī being so impressed that she goes around Rajagaha proclaiming that the Buddha's followers, the Sakyaputiya recluses, get and eat their food righteously and blamelessly.
So his personal integrity, rooted in his inner state, had a public impact.
Absolutely. It demonstrated the ethical dimension of the path.
Okay, so bringing this all together,
Right.
What does this mean for us, for you, listening now?
Well, I think these texts paint this really compelling picture. Inner mastery, these deep states, they aren't just some kind of spiritual trophy hunting or escape.
Right.
They form the very foundation for living with complete integrity. That refinement of mind, especially culminating in that absence of I-making, that freedom from ego, it directly informs ethical conduct, right livelihood. And importantly, ethical conduct supports the development of that inner stillness. It's a feedback loop.
So it's holistic. Inner states and outer actions, they aren't separate compartments.
They're totally inseparable, two sides of the same coin. You can't really have one without the other, at least not in this deep sense.
So thinking about this, what really stands out to you personally from this deep dive? For me, maybe it's that idea that true wisdom, real depth, isn't just about knowledge or even about having amazing meditative experiences. It's about that freedom from ego, that ability to experience things, even profound things, without the I needing to grab onto them.
Yeah.
And how that freedom naturally flows out into just being decent, into ethical action, blameless conduct, even in something as simple as eating. It's not just what you do, but the state of being from which you do it.
Beautifully put.
So we've journeyed pretty deep today into Sāriputta's mind, exploring these remarkable states and seeing how they connect to his unwavering ethics, all marked by that striking absence of I-making.
It's a powerful model showing how the inner landscape shapes our outer reality.
Definitely.
So maybe here's a final thought to leave you with, something to mull over. If this freedom from I-making, from that constant sense of self, is presented here as such a key hallmark of deep insight, what small aspects of that self, that insistent voice of I, me, mine, might we in our own lives just experiment with unclenching a little, just for a moment here and there? What might happen if we loosen that grip even slightly in terms of finding a bit more peace, or maybe a clearer sense of right action in our own day?